Okay, so I'm filming this at the end of the third quarter of the game because it's 37-point lead, I think. Yeah, this game's over. Thank you to the Timberwolves for making this series somewhat interesting. Um, they just played great today. They're up 107 to 70 right now. I'm not even gonna bother watching the fourth quarter. Honestly, if the Florida Panthers are, if it's like a close game between them and the Hurricanes, which I don't think it is. Oh my fucking god, they're yeah. All right, Florida's going to the finals in the NHL. Congrats to them. But let's talk about this game, right? So, other than the first few minutes in the first quarter and the first few bit of the third quarter, where OKC felt like they had a rhythm and they were getting through the offense, getting to their spots, playing good defense, all of that. Minnesota dominated this game. There is just no question about it. Um, OKC played terrible tonight, right? Just OKC played dog shit. Um, I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. I mean, they didn't. I don't know what the first quarter score was like. I don't know if it what the how that ended up going in terms of scoring. I mean, did they only score? They only scored 5 points in the last 6 minutes and 50 seconds of. Excuse me, 7 minutes and 30 seconds of a quarter. That's actually insane. Yeah, it just was not OKC's night. Even with open shots, even with getting their looks, it just wasn't going in regardless. When AJ Mitchell has to play in the second quarter because you're down by 30, no disrespect to him, he's an NBA player. He's way better than me for a reason. But when you have to play him in a playoff game because they're trying to look for anybody who can do anything, you're cooked. Like I'm sorry, you're just simply straight up cooked. Now, I'm gonna start with OKC. I think the only player who I think played really decent in this game, even though his plus minus really doesn't indicate much, is Jalen Williams, especially on offense. He was being aggressive. He was trying to get to the free throw line. Um, he just didn't make his shots. He only went 3 for 9. At least he went 2 for 5 from three. But anywhere in the 2 point range, just no go. He was getting to the free throw line. He did play like somewhat his normal self, but obviously not good enough. OKC just fell out of rhythm, out of sorts. I felt like it felt like Shea had a million turnovers, but they ended up having four. But he ended up having four. They ended up having 13 turnovers compared to Minnesota's 8 at the time of me recording this video. Um, Lou Dort didn't play well. Hardenstein had it got so bad for the Thunder that Hardenstein didn't play in the second quarter due to not playing the second quarter, but didn't start the third quarter due to the fact they needed more shooting in their offense. Not because it was anything against him. He can't shoot, obviously. I think we all know that. But they were just that desperate for offense and they couldn't find it from anyone, right? And so when I mean realistically, when OKC is shooting 10 for 33 from 3 point line and fucking not Denver, excuse me, Minnesota shooting 50% from three, they're cooked, right? They took the same amount of attempts, by the way. I would like to point that out. Even if the Timberwolves had minus 21 to their tally, which would be 91, they'd still be winning this game just because they've just been that good. Julius Randle, phenomenal tonight. That first been in the first quarter, really got them going for Minnesota. I'm talking about Minnesota now, by the way. Don't worry about OKC's bench; they were just asses and starters. Casey Wallace, horrible game. Aaron Williams did not play good. Joe did not play good. Caruso has not been effective in these past two games. And then Jalen Williams, when he came on, he didn't do much. Um, but let's talk about the Timberwolves. So Naz Reid finally had a good shooting game. Thank God for his sake. And shout out to Jalen Clark. Even though I felt like he could have played more this game, he's getting his minutes. So shout out to him. But back to what I was saying. Julius Randle, he played phenomenal tonight. 24 points. Four. No, I don't really care about the rebounds and assist numbers, but he did play really well tonight. He was on fire. He was getting to his spots. He's making his threes as normal, but he was getting to his spots. Just absolutely decimating the Thunder. He made some really difficult shots, and when I was tuning into the game and I saw he was making that shit, I was like, if this is going to be how the rest of the team is going to hit their shots, this OKC might be in for a tough one. And I didn't expect their offense to fall off like this, even though they have 75 points in the fourth quarter, but with minutes to go. But yeah, this just wasn't a good night. Excuse me for OKC. Rudy Gobert, he had a phenomenal game defensively. The box score doesn't really tell you how big of an impact he had. He was all over the place defensively. He was playing really great. He actually ended up having 2 steals, which surprises me, to be honest. You don't expect Rudy Gobert to have 2 steals like that. Does he? What is his steal average? Because I never thought he was a big like stealer. Like I'm not talking in any. I'm talking in the literal sense that he doesn't steal the ball as much as I thought. Yeah, he only gets 1 steal game. Okay, so he does have potential to get the 2. But yeah, he played really well defensively. Just to, just played great. One thing I want to point out about Rudy, I didn't I don't know if he has this ability, but I was really impressed with him tonight on one play where I don't know if he does this regularly because I do not watch a lot of Minnesota basketball, but when looking at but when it was like on a catch and rebound, and his ability to manipulate the defense and to get in the open man, which ended up being Conley, and he made a shot. Right? If Rudy Gobert is manipulating your defense, right, and this is all shout out to Rudy Gobert, he is not the primary ball handler for a reason. He had a lot of fuck ups handling the ball tonight, right? He just didn't handle it well, right? Usually when he was trying to get into a set with either Edwards or Conley, but when Rudy fucking Gobert is manipulating your defense to get a wide open 3 for Mike Conley, like you're cooked. Like I'm sorry, you're just cooked. It's Rudy fucking Gobert. Yes, I get he gets a lot of shit offensively for just basically being there, right? He is a good defensive player, right? Offensively, that's not his job to be the manipulator, be a passer on this team. And when he's fucking cooking you like this, I mean, you're just cooked. I'm sorry, you just are. Like you can't allow that to happen. And if Rudy's feeling himself and feeling like magic and shit, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do with OKC? Yes, they shot like shit, and their 3 point shooting and their 2 point shooting are probably gonna get better by the end of this game. But it doesn't illustrate just how bad. Um, Rob Dillingham came into the game. Hopefully, he's learned from Mike Conley, takes over in the future. But man, when fucking Rudy Gobert is fucking manipulating your defense and leaving Mike Conley wide open, man, that's just brutal. I mean, that's just fucking brutal. um, yeah, this whole Timberwolves team, by the way, I could just go on and on about them. They played really well defensively. This felt like the OKC team. OKC. Oh, what the hell? OKC team defensively for the first 2 games of the series, right? They played like them, just absolutely fucking dominant. Everybody who played, Shannon, Alexander Walker, DiVincenzo, Reed, Edwards, Conley, Gobert, McDaniels, Randall, they all played well defensively. It looked like for the first time in this series, they knew what they were doing, right? Not but not that's not the right word. They were in control of this game from the after basically OKC's first 2 buckets. They were in charge for the rest of this game, and a bit in the third quarter where it looked like the OKC Thunder might come back, right? But yeah, McDaniels played great defensively, did his job. Conley played great, and Edwards, he gave him a huge boost in the first quarter with his scoring. I mean, some of the highlights out of this game are just fucking ridiculous. He honestly, if this was a close game, he might have had a triple double. But yeah, he played fantastic. That fucking layup in the third quarter was nasty. That shit was nasty. One thing I would like to point out, I do want to see if Lou Dort and Anthony Edwards on each other for the rest of the series because they don't like each other apparently. So hopefully we get some of that. But yeah, Ant played Ant. When I'm gonna go on and use a Twitter reference. I'm not taking a reference from Twitter completely, but when I was chatting to people on Twitter, you can go check it out. I think Dante L Hudson. It's in the link below, right? For socials, go check them out, right? And what was I on about? Yeah, oh yeah, I know. When I was talking to people, how I think Ant is not that far away from being an MVP contender, and I don't think the gap between him and Shea is as big as people think. I got a shit ton of people OKC and I think some Minnesota fans um just completely fucking just they thought the gap was too big. And I think this game tonight from Edwards, I think it showcases even though he's this great player right now, right? And is a great player. There's no doubt about that. And he is an all NBA player, right? All NBA second team, right? I think if we keep getting games like this from Anthony Edwards, we're gonna have to start considering the MVP conversation for him starting next season, right? Because people don't realize just how small the gap is between Shea and in my opinion, right? I think given Ant's evolution as a passer, his scoring ability, his defense, right? Like he's a better defender than Shea, right? If Minnesota comes back in this series and somehow ends up winning this, which would be an all-time shocker given how OKC dominated the first two games, right? We need to start putting Ant in the MVP conversation because he's just so fucking good as a player. And when I talk to people on Twitter, right, I already mentioned how they all disagree with me, right? Yes, when Shea is on, he is MVP caliber, right? There's no argument about that. He is MVP caliber, right? Ant is not that far behind, right? Like when we have this conversation about Shea versus Ant and how they're gonna be facing off against each other for years to come, right? Ant's only 3 years younger than Shea. They are going to be fighting each other in the playoffs for years to come, right? This series might be the turning point if the Timberwolves win, or if Ant keeps having games like this, where we might need to start having a serious MVP conversation about him. Because yes, he's not at his finished product, but he's so fucking good as a 23-year-old in this playoff environment that you're gonna have to consider him for MVP. Because the sky's the limit for Anthony Edwards. I think this game truly showed it. I mean, he got whatever he wanted in this game because OKC basically lost it completely defensively, either through the fact that the Timberwolves were making every shot, or they just got better defensive principles. But yeah, man, Ant played really well tonight. I know that was a bit unstructured part, but Ant is just so goddamn good. Is there anything? Oh yeah, I'll talk about Terrence Shannon in a second. He played phenomenal tonight, but yeah, the only thing that was going well for OKC this game was their free throw shooting. That's really it. Um, yeah, and they already looked defeated in their quarter. You could tell they were really defeated by the third quarter. Just watching Holmgren just looked defeated after Gobert put the putback dunk on him. I mean, they just looked like they were done. Honestly, they just looked like they didn't want to be there. So, yeah, shout out Anthony Edwards, shout out Gobert. Now I'm gonna go to Minnesota's bench for a second. Well, Leonard Miller's playing. I liked him out of not high school, out of a draft. He hasn't panned out. Minute is playing. Oh, Minute's playing. Dylan, nice. Uh, excuse me. Let's talk about the OKC bench. Not OKC, Minnesota. Excuse me. Right. Okay. So first of all, DiVincenzo played his role tonight. Played really well. Right. Shot well. He only had two shots. I mean, he only had two 3-point shots. He was just basically the same defensive caliber as everyone else on the Timberwolves tonight. They just played outstanding. Nas Reed finally got back into his shooting stroke. Finally back to the Nas Reed that we know, a great 3-point shooter. Played well as always, not as always, but played well like the rest of the team. Felt like himself, right? And before I go into how Terrence Shannon, Gilgeous-Alexander Walker, I'll go to Walker first. But if Minnesota wants to win this series, right, they're gonna have to replicate at least one of these games on the road, or two, depending on what happens at home, right? Because they don't look like themselves when they're in OKC. They didn't look like themselves when in OKC. Let me reword that, right? If they are able to play this way and play this well and play in this type of vibe and not let OKC suffocate them, then we got ourselves a series. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too panicked for OKC yet because it is game three at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, this box score is hilarious. But if Minnesota ends up winning game four, then we have a tied series, right? I still think OKC wins. Um, Originally, I thought OKC would win in five or six. I didn't see this going to game seven, personally. I just did not think Timberwolves had that. But if we're gonna get performances like these out of the Timberwolves, right, where they're on where their synergy is this high, right, and their shots may not be falling, but I'm talking synergy, their defensive effort, right. If this is the defensive effort we're gonna get out of them for the rest of this series, and we get OKC at their best, this is going to be a series. It just depends on if the Timberwolves are able to keep this up, and if the Thunder are able to get back to how they played in game one or game two. Not game one or game two, game one and game two, right? So I'm not gonna put anything on this game just yet. We'll see what happens in game four. Hopefully that's a good game. I'm not a blowout like every other game in the series, but yeah, that's that. I hope Florida Panthers didn't score another goal. Imagine, yeah, imagine if Florida's up like 7-1 or something. 6-1? Are you 6-2? Oh my god, 6-2. Oh, okay. At least Carolina got some put back, but they're probably done for. Nikhil Alexander. Wow, Nikhil Alexander Walker had great offense tonight. Played really well. Um, Same defensive level and was able to give him points off the bench. So shout out to Nikhil. Now, Terrence Shannon, what a game you had, right? I think part of the reason why the Timberwolves were able to sustain this momentum throughout the entire game is because Terrence Shannon just said, "Fuck it, I'm taking over this game," and OKC had no answer for him. He was able to get whatever he wanted, mid range, layup, whatever, and he's getting his bucket now that it's clutch time, right? And he got to the line as well during this game. But Terrence Shannon, if he's playing like this, he's got to need to play more. He needs to play more. He needs the Julian Strawther minutes boost because Luka Garza can win the game. But if we're gonna get this out of Terrence, if Minnesota is gonna get this type of energy and this type of production where OKC can't do shit about Shannon because he's just way too athletic, way too explosive, gets to the rim like crazy, right? If we're gonna get this out of him for the rest of the series, Minnesota has another difference maker off the bench. I would play Shannon in game four, honestly, 20 minutes and see if he can do anything, if he's going to score at this rate, right? Obviously, he may not have the playoff experience and may not know how to play off the ball and stuff like that. But if Walker can't shoot, if Reed isn't making his shots, and if DiVincenzo is just being DiVincenzo, right? And I'm not talking bad or good, I'm just talking average, right? Shannon, even if all three of them are not having a good game, he can be a difference maker off the bench. I also think Jalen Core can be a difference maker off the bench as a defensive player. Um, but I think that's a whole other conversation. I think honestly, with this team, they can go 10 deep. If you want me to be honest with you, I just think they're that good to where they can go 10 deep, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm surprised AJ Mitchell ended up getting minutes. They went 11 deep this game, and I'm surprised AJ Mitchell ended up getting minutes. Um, he looked fine out there. He didn't look anything special, but he just played normal, I guess. He was in that second quarter, which was surprising. I guess they were trying to look for anything or any spark off the bench, and it just didn't end up working out. So shout out to AJ Mitchell for playing in the playoff game. But if Minnesota wants to win Game Four, right? If they want to win Game Four, Terrence Shannon might be a difference maker in that game if they decide to play him. I think he should play. I also think Jalen Clark should play just to keep a defense intensity up. Maybe some amount. If Reed and Randall aren't in, I think he probably could do that if you want me to be honest. Just for fun. But not Reed and Randall, Reed and Gobert, excuse me. But if Terrence Shannon is gonna play like this, you've got to play him game four and see what happens. Honestly, you got to play him in game four because if he's gonna make this type of impact for the rest of his series, and OKC has no answer for him because he's just this good microwave scorer off the bench, like everyone thought he would be coming out of the combine, right? If he's going to play like that, just I would say this is I would say if he's going to play like this the rest of a series, he's going to be a difference maker 100%. If we're going to get this Terrence Shannon off the OKC, not OKC, off the Minnesota bench for the rest of the series, this series is this series might take a 180 turn into a game 7 where I could see it, right? Because if he can if he can get the team going while everyone else is down, OKC might have a run for the money. I think what we saw this game from Terrence Shannon was really impressive, and I think if he's going to play like this for the rest of this series, who the fuck knows is going to happen, right? Even though Julian Strawther, I don't think he had a good game 7, right? If my memory serves me correctly, right? If Terrence Shanahan can play like this, who knows? It's going to be interesting, right? It'll be interesting to see how they handle this series. If he's continuing to play like this, yeah, I mean, shout out to Shannon. He's probably the reason why they won this game tonight by being able to keep up the momentum, and not let OKC come back for pretty much the rest of the game. So yeah, shout out to him. For game 4, I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna see if OKC is able to up the level of intensity they play on defense because tonight the effort just wasn't there. We'll see if they make the adjustments they need in order to win this, not win this series, but win the game 4. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game 4. I don't think this will be a make or break for the Thunder if they lose it, but if they do lose game 4, yeah, we're gonna have to start having conversations about where the series can go, because if this goes to 7 and the Timberwolves are playing this well, I would be scared shitless if I'm a Thunder if I'm blown a 2-0 lead going into game 7. But hopefully for their sake they can go up 3-1 in game 4. But yeah, if the Timberwolves play somewhat well like this for the rest of the series and not blow it, play it like game 1 or game 2, yeah, this series is going to be a thriller. So yeah, hopefully Timberwolves make this series interesting and not just the 2018 first round Timberwolves Rockets series again, where they won game 3 and then choked it for the rest. But yeah, let's see what happens.